Okay, Nancy, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see the screen.
Can you see my screen?
Entire sites, including the director, to commit to 24 hours of training together and then implement it. And so when they're talking about this and you're hearing about it, I'm not sure if we will be able to see in the room Jill's screen because she's online, but we can listen to it and now get it and we'll send it back out to everybody so that you can see what that is. Fine.
So I'm trying, Jill, I'm trying. It's,
Oh, and yeah, I was just going to show the platform a little bit, but if we're not able to do that, I'll just highlight a few more things that Tiffany was mentioning too.
That'll work. You can just highlight, if you could just highlight a couple things and then we'll get more information from you to share out with everybody so they can kind of decide if it's a good fit for their site.
Perfect. Yeah, so Tiffany, thanks. You did a great job there. And I think she pointed out, you know, the 24 hours of training, we meet all of the grant requirements for training, but I want to highlight just maybe two more things. One is that all of our 24 hours is customizable. So we have over 120 training hours. We offer CDAs as well. And you can plug and play different courses into your training plan for each of your teachers. So if you're thinking, okay, our entire center has to take 24 hours of training, but I want my infant teachers to take this class and I want my toddler teachers to take another class, that's totally doable with this program, with this bundle, is that you can customize it how you want. We also offer courses in Spanish. And so if there's someone who wants to request classes in Spanish, right now we do have 24 hours that are already translated into Spanish, but you can request more courses to be translated in Spanish, and we can have those ready for you in 2 weeks after you request it. Tiffany did mention the admin portal. I would stress the admin portal a ton here, is that as an admin, you'll actually be able to see what courses your teachers have taken. You can access all of their certificates within your admin portal, which for this grant particularly would be great because you'd be able to download all of those and then put them into, you know, World Class to be able to verify that you took the training at the end, instead of trying to get that from each of your teachers individually. And then the last thing that I'm going to highlight before opening up to questions is we also offer free parenting courses. When my husband and I first started this business, we actually started as a parenting education business. And it was when our first son was a horrible sleeper. He would wake up every 45 minutes for months and months. And we decided that we wanted to be able to support families. And then we wanted to support families through not only education to parents, but education to childcare providers. And so with any of our packages, whether it's CQI or CDA or annual memberships, free parenting courses is a part of it. because we want your parents and your staff, your teachers, to be learning the same things together to really create that consistency of care for your children. And so that's an additional thing that's just free that your parents will be able to access during this time that you have the CQI bundle. So is there any questions that we can answer?
So we're looking around, Jill. And one thing I want to add is you see the course, the fees, right? There is a potential that our grant will cover your fees for this training too. So there's some things, I'm still trying to get the details worked out on that particular piece of it, but this investment definitely could benefit your entire staff if you've been looking for something to train your entire staff with. Do you have any questions online, Lily?
No, we don't have any questions.
Okay, so we will get more information. Jill and Tiffany, thank you. I think this is an amazing offer that you've been approved to put together, and I'm glad to make this partnership. And I'm so glad that you're able to do it with 3 days of notice.
Well, thanks for inviting.
That's kind of the way our world works, right? Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for bearing with
Have
us.
a good one, everyone.
All right. Bless you. I heard somebody sneeze. So moving on, I am excited to let everybody know about one of our providers that was honored and nominated for Hometown Heroes Channel 20 WCJB. And it is Miss Bobette Allen of Little Gemstones. If everybody can give her a round of applause. The way someone has to actually turn your information in and nominate you for this honor, and then Channel 20, along with Bogan, Munns, and Munns, go through the nominations, and they pick one person to showcase someone who's making a better place out of North Central Florida. So this is not just out of Dunellen, this is out of North Central Florida. So, and I will be putting the link if you guys are interested in seeing the little interview and everything into the chat. And I'm gonna go ahead and give it to, we're gonna see if we had our new ELC staff members in here.
We don't have anybody new in here, but we did have a couple more join us. Michaela's in the back, their compliance. Latricia's in the back, our operations officer. So of course, we're all here for you.
And with that, then I will give it to, do we have any partner updates? Please raise your hand.
Yeah, we always ask for partner updates for anybody that's online, but if any of you have anything you want to share that you have going on, we have a lot of, our reach is very wide here with our early learning partners, and you are all a partner. So if you have any announcements, feel free. This is a time to share out.
Maria Rosario, do you have a question? Your hand is up. No?
So I'm going to take this moment. My team doesn't even know this, but we are going to switch our platform over from being virtual and in person to online only to have more impact. Because things like that presentation and things like that, having to try to switch it over to be here and there and have everybody see the same thing at the same time, it has a lot of power. And right now we're not able to really do it seamlessly or as, I don't know, as efficiently as I think we would like to. If you have a suggestion or you don't like that idea, let me know. But to be able to log in and even have, we did this during the pandemic and everybody was like round table. We were able to really throw some cool stuff up on the screen. You didn't have to travel anywhere. Of course, we always like to see you too. So of course, if you have feedback about that, let me know. But next month we will probably try to do it virtually and probably switch platforms to Teams because it's just a much more user-friendly platform for that many providers. So look for more information to come on that. So the team is hearing that for the first time too.
I would just offer, like, I've started coming because like it's really hard to hear.
Yep.
Janet's the hardest, but it's really hard to hear online.
So that's one benefit. So we won't be in this big room and it won't be as hard to hear because we will be, what we used to do is we would go into one of our closed offices, we'd shut the door and the staff are around the table and everything's right in the middle.
Yeah.
So, and we might even be able to look at that and see, we're on video too, so it's a little more personalized. We can definitely play with some things, but I appreciate that feedback. But that is part of the big challenge. And we have heard that it's hard to hear. If we take it out of this big room, it is so much easier to connect. I don't know if any of you guys participated when we were doing everything virtually, but when we were in, we all would huddle around in Roseanne's office, around her table. And it was so much, it was just more efficient and
Yeah,
clear.
that's the main reason I come in person now.
Yeah.
Because I just like, it's so hard to like hear and then follow along and then like the conversation keeps going and then I'm like, oh wait, I missed something. And like some of the things you guys say are like very, very important. A lot of the things you say. And so a lot of the things you say are very important. I mean, I think they hold different weight for,
They do. You're
you know,
absolutely right.
depending on what providers need, but like, I don't want to miss any of it. And I find when I'm online, I like, and also if I'm here, then I'm focused here and not like at my center, like,
Teachers.
yes, and like people walk in and then a parent calls and then the phone rings. And so it's like, if I come here, then I can't like do the other stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what, for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of you that are here, I'm sure we could roll a chair in there and you can come in and sit. But I'm joking, of course, but for our recordings too, so that you don't miss anything. When we're in around, like recording here, it's the same thing. We upload it to YouTube, right? But it'll be a lot more, you'll be able to hear better and the recording will come out better for future reference if you need it. But I definitely appreciate that feedback, but you know, we got to try some new things sometimes to meet everybody where they need us to be. And I definitely understand what you're saying about that. So that being said, are there any partners on? Okay. Marcy? Elizabeth?
That was my turn already?
Yes. So I am handing over some of our how-to training to Elizabeth, who is in our reimbursement. She's been with us a little over 90 days. If anybody hasn't, actually, well over 90 days now, about 5 months. So we're going to give her a shot. You guys have already had this how-to training. It's about 2 of them. But as you know, sometimes we need refreshers because the more tickets or more emails we find coming in from the providers, we need to address and go, okay, somebody has forgotten something here along the way and let's do some refreshers. So Elizabeth.
So one of the emails we've actually been receiving pretty often right now is about terminating or withdrawing students. So that's what we're going to go over really quickly. It is something you know how to do. We just are going to do a quick refresher. All right. So scroll down a little bit. So we have these great how-tos. They have screenshots and everything. So everything you can go through. All right, so the quick, to go through this one, this is just, you go into enrollments, manage SR enrollments, view and edit the enrollments, and then active enrollment. So you just go in, click there, and then it's gonna open up another screen, and then you're gonna have your active enrollments, and to the side, that's gonna have where you would withdraw that student. So go ahead and scroll down.
This is in your packet too. for the-
Yes, it's also in your packet to
Yeah.
follow along.
More?
Yep, go ahead and scroll down. So then once you're ready to end the child in there, it's going to have this pop up. So then you'll just confirm, of course. Again, with these, so for terminations, you need to do this before you process your attendance on our side. So before you send it in, this is going to be the easiest way to get it done through here. If not, you're going to have to do it by paper and then it's more complicated. So go ahead and scroll down. So you will need a withdrawal form, withdrawal or termination form, I believe is what it's called. Letitia, can you confirm that? Latricia, I'm sorry.
Well, there's 2 different ones. So
We put in the withdrawal/termination form is how we have it indicated on here, depending on what you're doing.
So you would just need to submit that form, make sure that goes to Blue Jeans if it is after you have submitted attendance to us. Of course, please do everything you can to try to get it done before you submit attendance. It's much easier to submit it in the portal. Okay? So is that pretty much all with termination?
So for on here, your biggest thing, stop right there. Number 2 is what's holding everybody up. It's asking for the last day of attendance. So if you're in March and this child's last day of attendance is February 14th, guess what? You've already submitted February's attendance. You're not going to be able to terminate the child. The child will not take that day. So the steps are, before you even start attendance, the children that need to be terminated, you need to do the terminations first before doing attendance. We have had emails coming back. This child hasn't been here for 2 months. We're turning around and going, well, why didn't you go into the system and terminate them? So those are the pieces to keep your attendance accurate. To accidentally not pay, because if you're submitting attendance, did you mark those as ins? Did you mark them all as absences, or did you leave them as exits and not do anything with it? Then there's a chance, guess what? We've paid you for those children, and now we're taking money back from you because now you've put in and given us a date to terminate this child when it could have been done 2 months prior. This is highly important because I know you guys do not like us taking money from you.
We don't like it
Absolutely not.
either.
I don't like it either. My team doesn't like it because that goes into adjustment. And that takes 3 times the amount of time to do one adjustment as it does to approve a child on attendance. So that's the biggest reason for this email plus, or this how-to. Plus, when you are withdrawing children and it's past the time, then you're going to have to fill out the paperwork. You're going to have to upload the forms to Blue Jeans. Then family service has to go in there. Family service has to go and process the termination. Then they have to send it over to reimbursement for us to go back and pull all of those attendances to make sure you haven't been. That is an extensive amount of time that it takes for both your side and our side to process the paper terminations. So that's it on this one.
All right, we can move on to the next one. The next part is just going over quickly about attendance. Attendance is something you guys do every month. You know how to do, but we're going to do a quick review on it. Again, with attendance, we just want to reiterate, make sure that you're going through and getting all of your new students put in. Make sure you're doing all of your terminations and withdrawals, and then that's go into doing the attendance. So that way, again, we don't have as much issue at the end of the month. All right, so this is just a quick overview if you want to review it on your sheets right now, if you have them in front of you, and of course online. So attendance codes, they're all the same. So pending parent acceptance, attendance submitted, attendance rejected, and attendance approved. The little X's, of course, that's where you click in, and that's where you would change whether someone's been absent, if you have a temporary closure or anything like that, okay? All right, and then we'll scroll down as well. Just to reiterate with absences, you do have 3 absences that will automatically be paid, and the change is this year was the 10 absences. If that has an, those are the ones with an excuse, okay?
Stop right there for a second, go right back down. One of the little notes on your absent reasons due to disaster will get rejected back to you. This is coding that we will let you know when to use, and it's only authorized when DEL says to have you use that code. That has nothing to do with hurricanes, emergency closures. All of that kind of thing needs to be put in through a temporary closure. We are not allowed to use the due to disaster any longer for COVID. We will reject every single one we see, which means it's a delay in paying you if we have to. Go ahead.
All right, go ahead and scroll down some more. So here's the big 3 again. So accept all new enrollments is the first thing you are going to do. Number 2, submit all terminations. Make sure that is done before you submit attendance. And then number 3, submit any temporary closure. So if you close for any reason that is a temporary closure, please go ahead and put that in there.
And that temporary closure has to be approved before you're going to see it populate on your attendance. And that's where over the hurricanes, we've had some confusion of having to reject it back, and then you've got to click the absences for every single child. If you do your temporary closure and get it approved before you submit it, it will pre-populate those closures upon our approvals.
Can I add something to
Yep.
something that Elizabeth said? So when she said accept all new enrollments, remember you have the right to reject. But you need to make sure that if that parent is coming to you or is expecting to, we try to tell the parents, make sure you're contacting your provider ahead of time. Sometimes they don't, they just pick you and you're like, I don't have a spot, you know, or you don't take that age of enrollment and you don't have that fee on your, I can't think of what it's called, private pay rate sheet. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming back. Actually, I looked at Trish and it came back. But those are things to keep in mind as you're going through this process. And then I just had a question. It's 10 additional absences after the 3 now, right?
That is correct.
Yes. So it used to be a total of 10, but now it's the 3 you get automatically plus an additional 10 with the right backup documentation.
And there is an additional backup documentation, the doctor's note and stuff now. So we're gonna go ahead and scroll down.
Actually, we have a question.
Oh, no problem.
Questions, if I may, please?
Yep.
Okay, so the first one is, what can you do if a child is terminated and parents change their mind and then wants the child back enrolled? Is there any way for us to fix this, or do we email you guys?
Has to go back to family service if family service has not approved the termination, I believe they can kick it back out. It's been a while since I've been in that side. You can cancel it. If they've already approved, then family service is gonna have to re-enroll that child.
Okay, and then I got another question. For the court ordered choice, do I need court documents?
We'll get down to the document requirements in just a second.
Do we have any questions in here? I thought I saw somebody. No.
All right, if you want to go ahead and scroll down, this is just a basic review over what you already know how to do. If you need to review it, please feel free to look over it. We are going to go ahead and move down. All right, and this is going to reiterate some of those absence. Can you scroll down just a little bit more so that way we have the full rule up down there? So the biggest examples are going to be hospitalization of the child or parent with appropriate documentation. So you do need a doctor's note or the hospital admission. This does not, a parent summary is not going to happen for this one. Also, number 2, illness requiring a home stay. This one you can have a parent statement, okay? Number 3, a death in the immediate family is the obituary, death certificate, or parent statement. 4, court-ordered visitation. So you would need the court order. I'm not sure if I think that's all you can do is the court order. Right? That's correct. Okay, that's what I thought. Right, and then number 5, unforeseen documented military deployment. So the orders of deployment, obviously. And then number 6 is the newly added one to this rule, and this is the doctor's appointment or other health-related appointments. This would need a doctor's note. A parent statement will not work for this one. And then again, another reminder, all absences are equal to 13. So you can have 3 automatically and then the 10 that will be extraordinary circumstances.
And anything above that, you will be selecting the enrolled non-reimbursable day. Any of the providers who have children that are open 24 hours or have children any 3 days, the days that the children do not come need to be, that aren't scheduled to be there, need to be marked as enrolled non-reimbursable days. So if you're open 7 days a week, you should see 2 days marked as non-reimbursable. If you're open 5 and you got a child there, only 3 days. We should see 2 of those days, Monday through Friday, as enrolled non-reimbursable days.
Added to that question about the court order was that they're foster children. It says that they're foster children. Catherine, do you want to elaborate a little bit?
That may be an individual thing. We'll have to look after them.
Okay, Tappan, they'll get back to you.
Right, and I think that's pretty much it for us. Thank you for bearing with me for my first talk with you guys.
Great work.
A lot of the confusion is on the absences. Right now, we're doing a lot of rejections for absences, proper documentation on those absences, on top of the terminating of the kids. Please remember, if you are closed, and I'm not talking about a holiday that you have marked on your contract, if your site is closed, that needs to be in your profile calendar, because that calendar goes to your attendance. We've had providers last month with the January 19th MLK holiday, go in there and mark ends for all of it. It's not one of their paid holidays. You get 10 of those from us. But the other piece is, we don't know that you're closed if you don't have it on your closure calendar. And then that means you're out of compliance, because that's what your closure calendar is for. And when we don't see it in the closure calendar and we see all these ends, we expect to see a temporary or emergency closure. So this keeps us all in line to make sure we know when you're open and when you're not. And it will pre-populate that closing day with a little asterisk for the days you are closed. That's a lot less work on you when you're having to change X's to all these other coding. So remember these pieces, because a lot of people decided not to get paid for that day as a holiday and close extra in December. So those pieces make a huge difference. You can be closed 25 days a year. You know you're only going to get paid for 10 in the contracting. So those extra 15 days just need to be in your closure calendar.
Good. Any other questions?
That's all the questions online. Oh, wait.
Don't run away yet.
Actually, this is a great segue into what Janet's going to be talking about. The question is, for the provider profiles 23, 24, can we submit it with just the holidays and go back and mark the in-service days at a later time? We do not have all our dates yet.
Go ahead, Janet.
Yeah. You can do that. You're not contracting right now for 23-24 fiscal year, but the profiles do need to be submitted. So if you know the 10 holidays that you want to select, go ahead on and select those, and you can go back and add your additional closure days. Okay, I would say best practice would be to make a list of the days that you know you're going to be closed, so that you have that for yourself. You can always go back to that. Like Marcy was saying, MLK was a big mix up for quality and reimbursement. Emails were going back and forth through our departments. Now, as I also want to say this, with VPK, please remember that you're only allowed 5 reimbursable days a year. So if we see that you have a temporary closure and you've already used your 5 reimbursable days, that day is going to be non-reimbursable to you, okay? Now, I'm going to go into discussing progress monitoring, PM3 reminders. So for many providers, PM3 will be starting in March, and then other providers is going to start in April. What I'm going to do is follow up with you and give you your start date and your end date for PM3. I sent out an email letting you know your PM3 will be starting soon. Here's your start date, here's your end date, and the amount of students you have in your classroom. As always, best practice, please make sure you print out your parent reports. You have 7 days from the date that you do that assessment on that individual student, not 7 days after the whole assessments for all children have been done. So if you do little Johnny first, 7 days from when you do Johnny, make sure that parent has that report, okay? Also, there is a new section on the profiles, 5.1 BPK coordinated screenings and progress monitoring. This has been kind of tricky for many of our providers because once you select owner or director, it automatically populates with that information. You should select the BPK director first in the first box. Once you make that selection, you can't go back and change it. So we're working out little bugs to try to get that fixed for some of our providers who have put owner to the top, because your owner is not the one in the classroom. Your owner is not the one doing the assessment on the children or helping the teachers with the assessment. So they're not going to get the emails from Renaissance or the emails from DEL, okay? And that is it for that. Is there any questions?
I'm looking. There's no questions at this time, but there
Okay.
was a thank you for the best practices for holiday.
Okay, you're welcome. Next thing is provider profiles.
Are you ready for me to bring up the?
Yes, okay. So with that being said, 23-24 profiles are out now. I would like for you all to please take the time to go and complete those profiles, please. The due date for the profiles is April 14th. This is very important. In order to contract for the next fiscal year, whether it be for VPK or SR, you have to have a active profile, okay? Email reminders have been sent out to providers to complete your profiles. I'm going to turn. Okay, so for all providers, VPK and SR, you need to have your E-Verify form. We have sent this out to providers. Please make sure you have this form filled out. Check all the boxes that needs to be checked. Make sure that it is signed and notarized. Can you go down some, Lily?
Mhm.
We have notaries here.
Mhm.
If you need a
Yep.
notary, we have a few here in the office. So
She's one herself.
I'm one, Trish is one. We gotta renew. But yeah, so if you need a notary, don't let that.
Right.
Yeah.
So the notary section is the section that gets all the providers' profiles rejected the most, because that information is missing, or where it says physical presence or online notarization, those little boxes are not checked. And the quality department and the compliance department, we look for those little things and we'll reject it. Yes, Letitia.
Can you go back up? There's something else that usually is misunderstood.
Go back up. Thank you.
How far
Go up
To the top.
to the top?
So where you see the first sentence, usually where the title is, they put their name, or he or she is supposed to say owner instead, or director instead of their name. So you have to be very careful to read those sentences and make sure private or public is checked out.
Yeah. And your provider ID. This is a big one. Please make sure you put your provider ID on your form. We're going to send it back to you and ask that you correct it. Don't write it out if you mess up and put an extra number, because we're going to ask you to, we're going to reject it, ask you to fix it again. Well, we don't want any scratches or whiteout because we can't accept it that way.
And this is not our form. This is a form that is required of us as an affidavit, and because it's notarized, we can't have any corrections on the form.
Right.
Just like your W9. Yeah, where you can't, you have to, if you make a mistake, you gotta start over.
Mhm.
So.
Okay. The next document that we're going to discuss is your provider pay rate fee.
Okay, watch your eyes.
Okay. Well, our lovely Elizabeth helped to create this form. This form is very important because it needs to match your provider pay rate tab in the portal, okay? So the fees that you charge for each care level in the portal must match this document here. If we don't see that you have uploaded a private pay rate sheet, your profile is going to be rejected for that. We're going to send you this form. This form is fillable, so it's PDF, it's fillable, so you don't have to make any scratches or white out on it. And it's very user friendly. Scroll down some, Lily.
Can I add something to that? I might be stealing your thunder. We have had some serious issues with providers not putting a rate in because you quote unquote don't accept that age child, right? And this is for our VPK only providers. This isn't as much pertaining to you, but our school readiness providers, if you don't have in your profile, and then of course on this document matching, if you don't have a rate and you accept a child, do you think we'll be able to pay you? The answer is no, in case you're wondering. So I can't even tell you, I used to tell providers, even if you don't take a kid, put a rate in, because it is a safety for you, just in case, because your heart is bigger than anything else in your body. And as soon as that family comes in and they have a sibling that you're enrolling, and you're like, well, I normally wouldn't, but I do have a space and I can combine this class and I can do this. I can move heaven and earth for you, family, and I will. And then we have to come back to you and say, we can't pay you now because your contract doesn't include this rate. So I encourage all of our providers, while it's not required for you to put rates in for children of ages that you don't typically serve, we all know we've lived through a pandemic now. Weird things happen all the time. So please consider, if you haven't filled in a rate for every age group of child, please consider doing that, because it will protect you when your heart is bigger than anything else and you're trying to help that family and you enroll a child that isn't typically at your site. So please consider that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for letting me jump in on you.
Yeah, you just said what I was going to say, so.
I kind of figured you.
You can scroll down some more, Lily.
Okay.
So a best practice to do is, once you are completing your private pay rate fees on the portal, have this paper next to you and do it at the same time. So you know everything is adding up and matching. We even have the additional fees to match what you will see on the portal. So it makes it very easy for you, okay? So that's it for that.
I just have a question.
Go ahead.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So, they wanted to know the due date for the profile again,
April 14th.
and also, do you need to use the ELC provider private pay rate sheet that was shown, or can we use our own to upload to the provider profile?
So you can use your own. However, we created this just so that there would be no mistakes, because it matches up exactly to what the portal has. So there's
It is
no
a
error.
requirement that your rates match on your private pay rate sheet and what you put in the portal. And what we found after years and years and years of doing this, and you guys know I'm a fresh little bunny here at the coalition, but for 18 years, we have had a lot of challenges, and that's why we don't want to kick back a profile just because a number doesn't match, right? That is, so we created this form. You don't have to use it. Do you have to use it? No. It's an option for you that will eliminate you missing something, because, and this matches the portal almost to the T. Actually, pretty much, except for the private pay rate sheet at the bottom. We just included everything that was required that's in the contract is on the private pay rate sheet. This fee chart, you don't have to, but it's definitely helpful. Definitely helpful. It's a resource for you.
What I will say is, if you choose to use your own, just make sure that It's a nice, neat document.
Yeah, we gotta be able to read it.
We got, it has to be nothing on like a napkin or, just like, crumpled up paper. We could barely see it because we're going to reject it. And a lot of times we are going to send this to you because we just made it, easy and user friendly for you. Okay. With that being said about the profiles, I want to speak with you about provider orientation for school readiness. This is coming up really soon. Provider orientation will be in March on the following dates, and we will get this out to you.
Yeah, we're gonna set up a registration in Acuity, so you can go in and we'll blast it out to you.
Yeah.
So.
But I do want to make you aware because the next provider meeting will be after the first two orientations, okay? So it's March 13th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. The next one is March 14th from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Then we're going to have two more, March 20th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then March 21st from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. The reason why there are 4 dates is because last year a lot of providers weren't able to make it to some. We did do some makeup dates and it was hard for some providers to get in. I know you guys deal with a lot of staff shortage and then late pickup. So that's why we have 4 dates for you guys to come. This year it is in person. Guys, this is mandatory. This is mandatory. You have to have your orientation before we can do your contract. If you have not attended provider orientation, we're not going to enter into a contract.
We can't,
We
it's
can't.
actually required.
We
So,
can't.
and the other thing is, we've tried to adapt orientations based on the challenges that we have seen that you have faced with your contracts throughout the year. So we try to adapt what we're really focusing on to those big contractual pieces, unusual incidents, attendance, when are you getting paid? What do we do in emergency situations? How do we, just different ways, different things that you go, how do you accept a child? So we're going to walk through those things one more time because I can't tell you every time when there's a situation that arises, it's usually contractual. And somebody says these famous words, nobody told me. Those are the famous words that we get told. Nobody told me that, when a child goes to kindergarten, the rates change. Nobody told me that, whatever it is that we're dealing with. Nobody told me that I had to report a car driving through my building. These are incidents that we have had in the past. I know, that has really happened. That has really happened. But these are incidents where they're like, well, I didn't know how to tell you that, You do. We gotta know, because as soon as WJB shows up at our door and we don't know, and we're like, we have no idea. Miss Anita never told us that a car drove through her, So those things we want to refresh because a lot happens, right? A lot has happened since we saw you in January. A lot is happening. It's coming up, and it's a lot to remember. So we just want to go through it because. And I'm not going to look, but if I ask you to raise your hand of how many people read their contract word for word, when we send it to you, it's hard, right? And do you remember a 35-page contract when those incidents come up? So orientation is super important for that reason. Do we have a question?
I just gave her the dates.
Okay. We are going to send those out, so you don't have to be, you can pick. Did it have to come to all of them?
Okay. So we know each other so well. So you do not have to come to all of them. I would like for you guys to be considerate of your other providers that you when you work with. So don't sign up for the meeting for the 13th and the 14th, like all of them all at the same time, because that's not fair and other providers may not be able to get in. So if you know that the 13th is like hard for you, don't sign up for that date. Sign up for the date that you know. It's given enough notice to where you can make some arrangements for you guys to attend these orientations, okay? That is all for me. I was short this week, is all I want to say.
Miss Wendy, do you want to make an announcement about provider profiles?
Yeah, mine is real quick. While Janet and Elizabeth covered the requirements for your profiles, I just wanted to give some tips and recommendations from a marketing perspective. So if you put on your marketing hat while you are completing the names on your profile, a couple ways that we use the profiles. One, when parents are requesting childcare listings, that is generated from your provider profile, and they get that listing just as the information appears in your profile. We use your profile information when we prepare our childcare directory for the annual early learning edition of Family Times Magazine, which is coming up in April and May. So one of the things that I noticed last year, some of you have really long names and it only allows you to put so many characters in the field for your center name. Some of the abbreviations were really funky. So think about from a parent family perspective in the childcare listing, which words make the most sense to abbreviate versus just filling it in real quickly. And then finally, I use your profile information to keep our constant contact, our email blast software updated. So I try to update those emails because I know you have staff changes and email changes. So I try to keep that list updated. But when I go to personalize email, so it doesn't look like you're just getting a blast, that we can actually say, hi Diana or whatever. Some of you write everything in lowercase and some of you fill out your profiles all in capital letters. So if your name is in all lowercase, I feel like I'm being disrespectful. And if your name is in all capital letters, I feel like I'm screaming at you. So just for those names, and I know, again, these are not requirements, these are suggestions, tips that, just from a marketing perspective, I do try to go through and get everything in just capitalizing your first letter of your name whenever I do send out personalized emails. But a couple tips. Any questions on that?
You do a great job with that. And just to let you know, if you are looking at how you abbreviate, if you're one of those providers that has to abbreviate, you may not be able to change it in your profile. But if you're looking to make a change of that nature, you need to also consult with whoever your licensing agent is. So if it's DCF or if you are license exempt and you're accredited, you would have to start by changing that legal part of it so that we can then go in and try to figure out how to change it. Only a couple of us here have the authority to help you change your name in your profile. So if you are a provider that's like, oh yeah, I don't want to have that abbreviation, because some of them, the abbreviation for association, that one's always fun. So just as an example, so as you're looking at that stuff, if you're thinking about how marketing tips and things like that, then that's something to think about. Yeah.
Who's the best person if we're going to offer summer VPK, which, because I know not a lot of providers offer it, who's the best person to get our name on the list so when parents call?
So you're just going, do you want to talk about that? But so with that, for summer VPK, you don't enter into a new contract, which is really nice. You just are going to fill out you're going to add a classroom on your application and you're going to add a calendar for that. And there are just keep in mind, there's different teacher requirements for summer. And then that goes on a list that gets published out. That one's really hard to publish out quickly because some of you don't have your teachers until school's out because your teachers for summer are school teachers. So then you're hiring them for summer. So it's a real good time balance there for us. So yeah, as soon as if you know you're going to offer summer, let us know. That's a great segue. Do you want to add?
I think I finally have all the right stuff in there. So.
Cool.
And it's also in your contract, your VPK contract. You have the option to select whether you're going to offer summer VPK. If you know that you want to and you have not selected that when you did your contract in the beginning, you can always, just tell us, hey, we want to offer summer VPK. Like she said, you do your classroom and you schedule your calendar. And I just keep a list of all those providers who are going to offer that.
I have a question. Do you guys have a list of people who haven't used their VPK certificate yet that we could reach out to be, because like sometimes you come across people who just like don't even know what that certificate affords them or what they have access to. And so, you know, you'll tell people, no, your kid can come for the next 9 weeks completely free, 8 to 3:30. And they're like, what do you mean? I didn't know. So if we could have a list and reach out to them and say, hey, we noticed you haven't used your certificate yet. We have this program you can enroll in. Like, I know for me, that would be something I would like to do to help try and, because it's always hard to find those 10, you know?
So I can tell you, Michelle Urban in our office does reach out to those families. We cannot necessarily give our providers a list of the families because of confidentiality, because it's parental choice. As much as I would love to say that so you can market directly to who needs it. Is that what you were going to say, Trish? Okay, but we do a push to the parents, and we do it a couple times a year, actually. So in the fall, if we see people that have said they want to attend fall and they haven't come, Michelle will reach out to them, or we'll blast out to them. We try to call them, try to figure it out, because sometimes, and when we call them, they're like, oh, I'm waiting for this seat at this site or whatnot. And then we try to educate them, like, if you wait too long, your option is going to be narrowed down to summer, and then you're going to have a limited choice. But then we do it again, especially for those that haven't used it. So yes, we do follow up with them. And there, you know, that there is a benefit to it. And we also have, like, I just got to do an open house with Anita on her site for VPK of a new class cohort. You had 8, 10 families there, between 8 and 10. Families that got to learn about how to use, so she recruited them in, educated them on how the VPK program works at her site. We were able to feed them because they have a grant that pays for food. That's something we never get to do. So that's an option too. And if you're interested, and I have like 6 providers, I think, that are coming up on doing their family night with their VPK courses. 5 minutes.
Okay, where quality is really good.
I know, I'm not done. But, Michaela, you literally have like 2 minutes because I'm a weirdly long talker and I have a couple more now.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go over a few things, VPK related. Currently, the ELC is going through the annual accountability monitoring, being conducted by DEL, Division of Early Learning. The preliminary eligibility review has been completed, and some observations that DEL pointed out to us that we need to address with providers. There are several provider errors where the provider signed the certificate of eligibility after the child's first date of attendance. As part of our corrective action plan, we are to have some training with the providers addressing the proper completion of the COEs prior to enrollment. Rule 6M-8.201, Child Enrollment Procedure for VPK Program. A VPK provider may enroll enroll a child in VPK or the VPK SIS program after the Early Learning Coalition determines that the child is eligible for the program. A VPK classroom must be composed of at least 4 children enrolled in the program for the program to be able to start. A VPK provider shall collect the form DEL VPK 02 or form OEL VPK 04 for the child's parent, from the child's parent, sorry. The certificate is what determines the eligibility for the program. The start date should not be prior to the certificate issue date. The signature date needs to be on prior to the child's first date of attendance. So that's something that we got marked for because some of them did it prior to or after. Okay, ensuring that the COE has been completed properly. There was an observation a parent wrote on the COE when they signed and dated the form. they put 6/2/21 and it should have been 6/2/22. So you just have to make sure that they are completing the dates correctly. For the VPK long and short forms, you cannot pre-fill the parent's signature date on the long form or the short form. Parents are required to date their own signature on the date they are attesting to their child's attendance for that month. Any questions?
Does everybody understand everything that Michaela just said? The findings are interesting this year, and they're all mostly around dates and signatures, right? So we just want to make sure that you're not pre-filling the date out where the parent signs, that the year is the correct year. So I can't reiterate everything that she just said, but basically you just want to really pay attention to the signature dates. Also, the COE has to be completed before the child starts your program, right? That's what she said.
I actually have a question I just thought about. If a student is your student, stops coming to VPK for whatever reason, so you withdraw them because they have violated, and then the parent calls you and it's like, I promise I'm gonna come now, and you want to re-enroll them, do they have to have a re-enrollment certificate, or can it be the same certificate from before, since they didn't change providers?
They don't have to have the re-enrollment form if they're coming back to the same provider. If you have withdrew that child, we just need to know. So,
And you would enroll.
Yeah, well,
them
because we withdrew them in our portal, but now like he's back and mom's like, I promise I'm gonna do better. So I need to add him back to our portal, so we can just use that same paperwork from before and upload it again.
right, they don't have to have the re-enrollment because they're coming
To the
back to
same
you.
provider.
Yeah.
Perfect.
There are no questions.
Nice, I think. All right, I just want to give you a couple of reminders before we end. First of all, let me ask you, and if you, I've been asked if anybody is looking for a director. So if anybody's hiring a director, I have been asked that personally, so if anybody is hiring a director, if I can ask you to shoot me an email so that I can connect you with this person that is looking. It might be good for now. I can't say, I don't endorse anybody, just like, and I didn't announce it before, we don't endorse Bertelsen Education either. We're just bringing the information to you so you can make an educated decision for yourself. But also for teachers, I have a teacher who's been coming to training at the coalition, okay? She hasn't worked since 2017. So when I reached out to her, I said, because she put a provider on her statement that wasn't our provider. So I said, connect with her. I said, what's up? Where are you working at? She said, well, I'm just trying to keep up on everything so that I can get a job with somebody. And I said, oh, girl. I said, I can connect you with probably 100 different places that could use a qualified teacher right now. So I have somebody, I don't know anything about her, so you would have to do your screening. I know that I appreciate her honesty with me when I talked with her about what's up, where are you, what's going on with you. So if you're interested in her information, shoot me an email. If I get 100, it's gonna be first come, first serve, y'all. So I know, it's like, whoo, fresh blood. Anita's already sent it to me. She hit send right now. So that's one thing. The other thing is we are still in ARPA round 1 and round 2. There is probably 8 providers that still have outstanding payments from ARPA round 1. So if you remember, ARPA round 1 was where you got 3 different payments. Some of you still have, what do you call those, surveys that you have to fill out on your provider portal. So we need you, Marcy needs you, because she would really like to pay you, because we keep getting emails about when am I getting paid? Well, we can't initiate your payment until you fill out the application. So please look in that grant area on your portal and see if you have any outstanding that need to be filled in. We will be reaching out directly to the providers that have outstanding ones. And some of you have been waiting for me to approve your ARPA round 2. We have about 6 providers that are left that I need to approve. So my plan is hopefully to lock myself in my office this afternoon and get those knocked out. So those are the 2 reminders for that. You have questions?
Did your last name change?
Not that I know of. Why?
Because it just kicked back your email.
Diola? Oh, it's full then. It's full. No more emails for me. No, just kidding. Diola, D-E-O-L-A.
Yeah, edl@elcmarion.org.
elc-marion.org.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's kicked it back.
Yay! No more emails for me.
I tried.
That made my day, thanks. Did it come back to you too? Oh, you got it.
No, I got it.
I have a daily limit of 600 emails, you guys. So the only other thing that I want to tell you is with the world-class workforce, I am going to host a virtual.
You're gonna have to put her on.
No.
It's saying I'm spamming you.
You're spamming me?
That's what it says.
Oh. I'm honored, actually.
Elizabeth, I know you just did those ARPA certifications. On the ones for round one, I have rejected some of them. Please look at those comments closely. Sometimes there's one or two comments in there. There'll at least be one, but sometimes there are multiple ones in there of things that need to be corrected.
Most of the time it's your
Dollar
budget.
amount
Yeah, it's your
that
budget.
you're certifying is the number one issue. The number two issue is you said you covered copay to the maximum extent, but you show me $0. Those are our two biggest issues with those certifications that I'm kicking them back for, that I have to have. Yes, Latricia?
And also, when you're doing a certification, it's for dollars that have already been spent.
That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Because my favorite thing is when we reject it back and they're like, we didn't see what you wanted us to fix, so I just submitted it again without changing anything.
I
I'm like,
can tell
"Oh,
you,
okay."
I get those all the time.
Yeah, I'm happy you're just in there doing it. So,
But the majority of everybody is paid out in those 8 in round one. There's probably about 3 to 5 of them that need to start looking the first week or 2 in March for their certification.
right, because remember, there's a time frame. There's a 90-day window that has to go into play for round one. So, thank you. I know we've kept you a little bit longer. I just have a couple more things, so thank you for your patience. With the orientations, remember there's an orientation for school readiness and there's an orientation for VPK. So we'll be setting up those schedules. VPK, I know, is coming later. So Janet didn't necessarily announce it, but you might see that coming. If you don't offer the program, let's say you're a VPK only provider, but you're considering coming on board for school readiness, I would definitely tell you come to orientation. If you're not and you just want to do VPK, you only need to come to VPK orientation. The other thing that we are going to be setting up probably early in March is I'm going to be doing a virtual walkthrough of filling out your profile. It's going to be virtual, so we'll send out the application. So if you're like, I really do feel comfortable, but I really would like to just confirm that we're going through there, I'm going to go through it online. It's going to be probably an evening. We will record it and put it on our YouTube channel so that you can walk through your own profile at your own time frame. We will be doing that. And then, of course, the world-class workforce walkthrough will be next Wednesday at 6:30 in the evening. We will record that too, so that you can get to it later. Usually, so on a Wednesday, if we're recording like today, usually we can have it up usually by Friday, depending on how fast, because we are dependent on technology to make everything work. So usually though, we can get it over and get it uploaded by the end of the week or the very beginning of the next week. Lily gave me permission to talk about her PD podcast. So that is the last thing on your agenda. That's coming up this Friday from 12:30 to 1:30. That is a virtual conversation about all the professional development opportunities that we have for you. We are constantly adding more to our calendar. We're also going to have a little bit more conversation about the world-class workforce and the workforce initiatives this Friday. And again, just a reminder that you can register for all of our trainings at elc-marion.org. So thank you for your time today. Does anybody have any further questions? We good? Questions? Thank you, everybody. All right, there, I write